Welcome back to another episode of the Cut Content of Spec Ops The Line. This will be a shorter one focused on some of the cut weapons mentioned within the game's files. None of them have models or anything, they're only text references to them. But the fact that they're referenced indicates that they were at least being considered for use within the game. That by itself is worthy of noting. There are three big ones that indicate real-life weapons that were being tested out or possibly considered for use, and there are some other programming weapons and test weapons that were just listed among them. Right out the gate, I'll talk about the three big ones: the PKM, the AT-4, and the hunting rifle. The PKM is listed among the game files as weapon_machine gun and PKM-A machine gun. It would have taken MG ammo. Not sure if that meant it would have shared ammo with the M249 SAW or not. It is a Russian general-purpose machine gun made in the 60s, still used today. It probably would have seen use among the insurgents if it had been implemented. But it's possible that the 33rd would have used it too, because they do use the AK-47 in early chapters. Overall, it would have been weapons similar to the M249 SAW, a high-capacity machine gun capable of suppressing fire. I'd imagine that heavies would have made use of it. The next one is the AT-4. Now, the AT-4 is a single-shot rocket launcher designed by the Swedish and used by various militaries, including the US military. It would have made more sense for the damned 33rd to use this as their main rocket launcher instead of the RPG, since that's a Russian-made weapon and the AT-4 is American-made. Maybe they just couldn't find a way to balance it out, being single-use and all. After you fire the AT-4, you need to get another one. You can't reload it. So maybe they wanted to be able to let you reuse the launcher and just thought the RPG would be suited better. Last but not least, there's the hunting rifle. And it's noted that it uses its own ammo, just like the AT-4 does, for its own shots. The game only describes it as a hunting rifle. There's no specific weapon designation, so it could have taken a lot of different forms. My assumption is that it probably would have been a bolt-action scoped rifle, similar to the Scout Tactical. There are semi-auto hunting rifles and lever-action hunting rifles, even double-barrel ones, stuff with and without scopes. But going on the designs of the game and weapon variety, I think it would have made sense to add another scoped bolt-action weapon. I don't think an unscoped version would have really been viable in the game. And going on that logic, it probably would have been used by the insurgents, especially early on if they had any sniping sections, but again, maybe 33rd could have used it because of their own tendency to scrounge up weapons. The US military doesn't really use the W1300 shotgun with wooden grips or the AK-47 or the RPG, but the damned use it in Spec Ops The Line. So it's possible it would have shown up there just as a sign they're scavenging whatever guns they can. And aside from that, there are also some other strange references to guns that were seemingly prototypes. There are references to a prototype shotgun weapon, an SMG, and a pistol. They're just labeled as, for instance, shotgun_proto_01. There's a reference to a surrender weapon. It's not described how it would be used or what ammo it would take. It's just called weapon_surrender. There's also a reference to a laser sniper that would have had its own ammo. I don't know if that meant it would have been like the P90, where it has an underbarrel laser that you can use, or if it's like a totally sci-fi concept of using a laser weapon. Probably would have had a laser sight of some kind, or maybe night vision or something. But there isn't really much given in the way of info. It was just a reference to the name and the ammo type. No real-life designation or anything like that. There's some dummy weapons referenced in the game's files among SR assets. Dummy weapon 1, 2, and 3. They don't really work when you load them into the game. The other guns will just not work at all. These, he'll carry an invisible rifle in his hands and it won't really shoot for the first two. Trying to load the third one will make the screen turn black. I guess they don't have the resources to work in the final game. There's also a test weapon that is referenced. Apparently it was a heavy weapon with an ammo count of 999 with stats as maxed out as could be, like having 9,999 range, 66,606 damage. And another thing to note is that there was a weapon called programming, Y-weapon_programming. It's noted in the files for it that it is not for designers. It's not clear what it would have done exactly. Other than that, it's listed as a debug weapon in weapon category. Aside from all those, there's also a nifty bit of trivia. The AK-74 is a multiplayer-only weapon, and as a result, it does not have a secondary fire. However, in the game's files, it does have the functionality to use the AK-47 secondary fire option, so it would have been able to switch to burst fire instead of going full auto. It's unclear if this is just a leftover of the gun being built off the original AK-47 data, or if it was being considered for a single player, or if secondary fire was considered for multiplayer, but it's an interesting feature that ultimately you can't use on the weapon, since it's multiplayer only and there are no secondary fire options there. So that's all that is known about the various scrapped weapons of Spec Ops The Line, both programming, test weapons, and the actual cut weapons. I'll definitely cover the flamethrower in another one because there's more info on that, there's footage of it, and it seems like it actually got pretty close to being in the final game, at least judging by what we've seen. So thanks for sticking around, thanks for watching this episode of the Cut Content of Spec Ops The Line. Hope you guys have a great day, thanks for watching.